My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast.
And this is the Washing Up Podcast.
Well, we're doing 2 episodes in one, so double intro.
We didn't want you to miss out on our intro. You get it twice.
It's the most important part of the episode, really.
Yes, exactly. The rest, you can
people,
skip forward to the end.
That's what people,
ta-da, we're done.
That's what people are here for. Yep. And, you know, probably double commercials.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the sponsors have been doing? So, obviously, we didn't record last week with Spice Week.
No, there was issues. The spice didn't flow.
The spice did not flow. But we are back this week, and we decided that rather than try to do a catch-up episode, because it's life, and life is going on, and it's really busy.
You're getting a twofer.
You're getting a twofer.
You're getting a Bakeoff. Buy one, get one free.
You're getting a twofer, you'll call it ice cream. Yeah. If you want to hear about... if you want a more in-depth conversation about the last week's show, obviously, I highly recommend listening to the Alternate podcast for the Alternate show, which they talked about a lot in this first challenge. The idea that Nat's been off hosting that secondary podcast.
Yes, it's called...
a secondary show.
It's called The Making a Mess in the Kitchen.
Yes, exactly. It's a great podcast. You really need to listen to it. It's with Craig and Emily.
Yes. No, Craig and Kirsten.
No, Kirsten left.
Oh, did she?
Kirsten left for special projects.
Oh, okay.
So, anyway...
It's been a while since I've listened to that one.
I haven't listened for a long time.
Yeah.
So, the most important thing to sort of let you all know here is you're not getting a normal level of deep dive because we're still doing this in the normal amount of time it takes to do a podcast.
Yeah.
None of you need to hear us waffle on for this long.
No, you watch the episode. You know what happens. If you wanted to know what happened in the episode, you'd watch that, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
What you're really here for is us and our tangents. And our diversions.
Our diversions and my occasional tantrums. Anyway, Molly knows the Spice Girls. That was the biggest bit of news that came out of last week's episode.
Oh, yeah, but I have to wonder, Girls Aloud. Does she know Girls Aloud?
I'm sure she knows Girls Aloud. I wonder if she knows all the Sugar Babes. all the versions.
Yes.
Every member. I was thinking about that, and then I thought about, some of the K-pop and J-pop bands. You know, the one where there's 57 girls
That's
generation.
Right.
There's 57 girls on stage. The girls on the left-hand side have never met the girls on the right-hand side.
No, and when they reach a certain age, Soylent Green happens.
Yeah, once you reach 20, you become Soylent Green.
And fed back to the younger generations coming through to make bigger, stronger, faster K-pop stars. So tinier. Perkier. Dancier K-pop stars.
And everyone knows their blood types because of course they do. It's Japan and Korea. Anyway, Spiced Phyllo was the first challenge, the CV chart. 2 different flavours, 6 sweet, 6 savoury, 2.5 hours. Now, Adrian did Korean pastry. So again, this is where obviously Girls' Generation, all those sorts of things popped into my head. Again, the Wonder Girls, with their song Nobody, with the point and clap.
Yeah, see, K-pop and J-pop, look, I respect the fans and everyone's got to have what they love. But if I'm going to go for a girl band out of, a Southeast Asian country, I'm going for Baby Metal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who are coming out next year?
Baby Metal are out here next year.
I know, exciting.
So
it almost makes me want to go to a festival.
So Adrian...
It almost makes my 44-year-old, who will be 45 at that time, old self go, you know what? I can totally do this.
You can 100% do that.
And then take 6 weeks off as I recover in the ICU.
Hey, if I'm sitting there still thinking to myself, I could go to TISM, you could do that. Anyway.
Yeah, but at least everyone at TISM will be our age.
And
I won't be going to, I won't be going to Knotfest, where, probably the average age is,
maybe Knoxfest at Knoxbury Farm. Anyway. So he did Korean pastries, gochugaru and gochujang. Now, Darren was worried about the flavour balance because he should be worried about something. Elliot said that in Yorkshire, of course, for Spice Week, they have pepper. Lies. No, you don't. You have Keen's mustard.
You know who they might have had in Yorkshire at some point? Salt and pepper. Salt and pepper might have.
Yeah. I mean,
Spinderella might have turned it up one time.
They probably played Leeds.
Fuck yeah, they did.
Now the other thing I would think about though, they would have had a Clive of India powder.
Yes.
So that's pepper. I don't believe. Keen's. But Keen's and Clive of India. That's the only 2 things they would have had. Thai pastries, a curry prawn with green chili, and a sweet custard phyllo with ginger. Now, Adrian was enjoying the fact that he smelled savoury in the shed, and likewise, savoury is king. Dimmy was using pandan and cloves. and then went with a Sri Lankan spiced lamb that looked really good.
Delicious.
Dimmy's had a good couple of weeks. When we get to the end of the second episode, we'll talk all the way about it.
She is fast becoming my favourite and my top seed. She's
the top seed.
She's won pole as far as I'm concerned, because people have gotten into F1 this year.
Yes, Kristie has got into look out for the washing up the Formula One edition coming soon. I'm only half joking about that.
But a pox on Red Bull.
A pox on Red Bull, yes.
Especially because, well, you know, if we're talking of girl bands.
So, they were all stretching the dough, which is the main reason I don't make phyllo. Because, like, that idea of having to stretch that dough so thin is weird and ridiculous.
But fun. And it's like when you're a kid and you got the minty wrapper and your parents were like, let's waste some time in the car. So they give you a minty and they're like, you got to tear the minty wrapper into the longest it can be without breaking it. I feel like these days children are just being given some phyllo to stretch.
That's 100% what's happening. It's a workshop.
Yep.
Back of that car is a workshop. Now, Lorena was doing the wet method. Everyone else was doing the dry method. Now, unfortunately for her, that meant that her phyllo started ripping. A bit of a problem.
Yeah.
She was making the sweet potato with cayenne, which I'm there for that. Mm-hmm. That sounded amazing. The second one was the sweet one was a lemon myrtle custard.
You know where the wet method originated? By a crab called Sebastian.
Where did he begin this?
Under the sea.
Well done. Set him up, you knock him down. Yes. This is where Lorena went, I'm Lorena, I make a second of everything. Which is when Nat talked about the hosting of the second show with Raquel and Daryl.
See, now I think Lorena's on both shows because she's like, I'll just make a second one so I can use it in the other show.
I hope you're winning the second show. We haven't watched it for a bit. We're a few weeks behind. We're still catching up on all of those episodes of Kiwi that we watched. We've got the tapes. Anyway, Molly was making lamb burek with and the second one was a ginger pear mille-feuille. Mm-hmm. Arvin was going with a sweet banana chiron, cardamom and cinnamon lamb adobo cup as well. The lamb adobo looked really good.
Yeah.
The banana chiron.
It wasn't like you're not a fan of banana anyway, but no. I was a bit dubious about it.
So, and then Demi was painting the inside of her phyllo with white chocolate to stop it going soggy, which was quite clever. The judging. I told you this would be fast, guys. Arvin, the pastry was well baked. The lamb and red miso had a good crunch. Darren loved the lamb but wanted more spice. The banana chiron had good texture, but again, it was very subtle. Not enough banana for them. Lorena, it could have been baked longer. Sweet potato was creamy. The pastry was good in parts, but it needed to be thinner. The lemon myrtle packed quite a punch. Adrian, good colour on the bake. Korean pork filling to pastry ratio wasn't right. Needed more pork. Mm-hmm. They also said that it was a little dry. They said the combination of flavours was good, but they wanted more heat. Now, just think about that for a minute. We've come from a Bakeoff shed where Maggie Beer would die at the vague slice of heat. Now it's like, where is it?
Yeah. I can still feel my tongue. My eyes are not watering. What is wrong with this picture?
Molly, they said the pastry was light, the lamb had a good texture and good spice. They said the pastry should have been a bit thinner, and the pear and ginger miso, the pear needed more. It ate well though, but it needed a bit more spice. Elliot, they said it was baked well, but neater wrapping was needed. The Thai parcels had good filling. The pastry was thick and crisp. The fennel and ginger cups had a smooth custard and a good spice. And Dimmy, good attention to detail. The spiced lamb and potato, great crunch. Fantastic flavour. And they said the chai custard was well balanced, like a warm hug.
Oh, that looks so good.
Okay.
Chai me up, baby.
Now, the technical.
Yes.
Darren said, don't be doughy and spice up my life with a kick. Now, a couple of things here. First of all, the spice up my life got laughs that were very out of proportion for the level of joke.
It really is like the boss.
Everyone was cackling like it was a comedy club. Mm-hmm. That's Stockholm Syndrome, folks.
It is.
Secondly, and far more importantly, it's good to see Darren making references to, of course, his favourite girl band.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, I was either going to say Girlfriend or All Saints. One or the other.
Look, All Saints, strong band.
Yeah.
Someone who you might also like, I reckon he'd be down for a little L7.
He's Atomic Kitten. No, he's Atomic Kitten.
Oh, look.
Darren is entirely singing Whole Again.
Yeah, but...
Not the Darty Freya version of it either.
No. You know whose version is better? bag of chips, saw them sing it live, and it was "You Can Fill My Hole Again." It was wonderful.
But I think Darren Purchase is 100% there for Atomic Kitten. He strikes me as a Kerry Katona kind of guy.
Yeah.
So what it was a spiced cruller. Now, I know we've been sort of rushing through this, but I'm not going to rush through the spiced cruller because it's one of my favourite challenges across the whole series. They looked incredible. The crunch on those donuts, just the crunch, the whole thing looked amazing. So it was myrtle with saltbush and sugar, and then strawberry gum with hibiscus glaze. The strawberry gum in particular looked so good. Look, we've had ups and downs talking about this series, but the one thing I will say is that across the course of the series, I think that the technicals have been excellent.
Yep, I think the choices of technicals this year has been bang on.
It's been.
I just think that they need to be weighted more.
Yeah, I think that's part of our problem. So I think our big problem is that we really actually love what they're setting for technicals, and we think they're amazing and a great challenge, but they don't count for anything.
No.
So, but yeah, I love what they've set. What they've set for the technical has probably been some of the best technicals I've seen.
Yeah.
But it's, just the second part of it. So, the crunch on the outside with the glaze, fluffy inside. If you pipe too fast, you'll get a too thin of a dough, or if you go too slow, too thick of a dough. Had to keep it the right size. The right heat of the oil. So if you go in and it's not hot enough, it's not going to cook properly. That's where you'll get the soggy oil-filled ones.
Yeah.
And they said also cool enough for the glaze.
Cool enough for the glaze sounds like a TLC album.
It does.
You know?
Oh, it does. Post Left Eye.
Oh, don't
I know.
break my heart.
I know.
They're my favourite girl band
They
ever.
definitely are. Don't worry, we're gonna get onto one of my favourite ones in a minute, because Molly goes, it's shooing while she was trying to do that. Now, of course, Molly has endeavoured this season to bring back denim.
She has.
In line.
Yes.
With, of course, Bewitched.
I was about to say you will, say you won't.
Say you'll do what I don't. Say it's true. Say to me. Say la vie.
Can I just say, I think, who was it that I got a cameo for you for your birthday?
You did get me a cameo.
And I think that the member of Bewitched who I got was quite surprised it was a wife to her husband who was the fan. Like, you know.
Yeah, you did get me a Bewitched cameo from Lindsay.
That's right. Yep.
I was really fond of that because she sang a bit of C'est La Vie as part of the cameo, which was lovely and wonderful. And I felt like going, yes, but Roller Coaster is my favourite song.
I'm sorry. Thank you, but
you didn't sing the right one. There was no blame it on the weatherman. Anyway, it needed to be a pipeable shoe. Now, Lorena was convinced that she'd overmixed it. The interesting part for me was actually having to grind your own saltbush sugar. Like, they didn't give them saltbush sugar. You had to grind your own. Back in my day, you had to mill it.
Yes. In my day, you had to toast it off yourself. Now, get Spinderella to cut it up one time.
Now, poor Arvin, because they were talking about heating to 180 degrees, and he was talking about the idea, he was reminded of summer, and he meant to say floaties, but he said floaters.
Oh no, you don't want a floater in your pool, Arvin.
If it was a churros challenge, which basically a cruller is a rounded version. Mm-hmm. But if it was a churros challenge, then Arvin, you would have had floaters. Anyway, Lorena was worried because her temperature dropped. Arvin was therefore amazed that Molly knew Tina and the Nutbush. Mm-hmm. But I was not, because as we've talked about many times, she is the future head of the CWA. And as the future head of the CWA, Molly's all about the Nutbush.
Look, I believe it's part of their secret initiation ceremony.
Not secret initiation. They sing two things: the national anthem, Nutbush City Limits. And they stand up at every meeting. And there you'll have Gladys and you'll have Beryl, and they'll be up there nutbushing away. That's all they do. You know, they've got one guy who turns up. It's Dave. Dave's job is to hit play.
And it's how they solve disputes in the CWA. Just nutbush it out, ladies. Just nutbush it out.
It's just, all you got to do is nutbush it out. Mm-hmm. But I was just like, Arvin, of all of the people in there who I would expect to know the Nutbush, Molly is very high on my list.
Yeah.
What I was waiting for then was Arvin to start quizzing her on like Tina's back catalogue. Like, name 3 songs. Oh, you like Tina? Name 3 songs off Private Dancer.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, you like a bit of Tina, do you? Where were the sandhills that, that appeared in Mad Max?
What are the 2 songs she sang for the National Rugby League? Not just simply the best. What was the other one? What was the other one?
I don't know, but what you get is what you see.
By the way, controversial statement. It's the better of the 2 campaigns, and it's a better song. Anyway, moving on. Judging. Arvin, the piping was thin. The myrtle and the saltbush sugar was good, but it was too hot with the sugar. The strawberry had good flavour, but it was a bit dense and it needed a bit more cook. Lorena, in places it was a bit thicker. The flavour on the strawberry was great. The myrtle had good flavour, but needed more air. Adrian, volume looked good. Interior was fluffy, well piped. The flavours were excellent. Molly, a little untidy. The flavours were just right. Needed better piping. Elliot, they said flavours were spot on and it was delicious. And Dimmy, smaller and flatter. Needed more crisp but good interior. Then, from last to first, it was Lorena, Arvin, Dimmy, Elliot, Molly, Adrian. Mm-hmm. So, Adrian wins another technical.
Yep. Strong.
Now, more importantly, can we just briefly mention Lorena's gingerbread dress? Which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely
amazing. Could only have been done better if it was made out of actual gingerbread. Now, or had little gingerbreads on it. Imagine that. But then, you know what would happen? Even if she did come in with gingerbread on it, Natalie's there. There's no gingerbread left after it.
Now, obviously,
She'd be like homering.
We are 100% like there's no deal. But I would highly recommend go over to Miss Flamingo AU on Instagram.
Yes.
And go and check out those dresses because they're really cool.
Yes, I'm hoping to shortly.
Definitely.
When my payday comes.
That's what's happening. So, the showstopper, a 3D spice structure. Now Nat sort of made vague fun of the concept. But then any structure, any spice, but needed to include sugar glasswork and interior lighting, 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, the interior lighting has been done before. Mm-hmm. Canadians done it before, in particular. My big problem with this, I'm just going to get this out of the way because we are moving fast. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get this out of the way right now.
Okay.
Stop pretending that they're not going to make gingerbread. Also, stop pretending you don't want them to make gingerbread. Because the one person who made a spice cookie and not gingerbread, you basically said to them, you should have made gingerbread. So, why are we pretending that you can make something other than gingerbread? You really can't. And so, when everyone makes gingerbread and one person goes, I made a sugar cookie, and you go, that should have been gingerbread, probably would have been more sturdy. Just say gingerbread.
I want a baker to tell me what other constructions you can make your houses out of. I mean, you know, as we know, it's been a construction material for like donkey's ages. Like, you know, there's a whole bloody tale about the witches catching children in it. Like, you know, having a gingerbread house. I mean, that shit can last through storms. I mean, bread snow.
Grissini would be quite good.
Grissini?
A crispy grissini would be quite good. You know,
it's bread. It'll get soggy.
The correct answer is dead dough.
Okay, but you can't eat that.
But you know my complain's about dead dough, so we won't go back down my dead dough complaint.
Yeah,
but
it attracts zombies.
It does, and
and other undead. They're like little moths around the dead dough.
There's perks. Anyway, there was low pack everywhere because everyone was making gingerbread. Mm-hmm. Corner talk. Adrian was great in both. Elliot's first bake was good. Molly needed more colour in the signature, and Arvin struggled across both. Mm-hmm. So we get to the showstoppers. Arvin made Flinders Street Station out of gingerbread. Mm-hmm. Cool. Lorena was using pink peppercorns as her spice with grapefruit. We've seen pink peppercorns, obviously. Last year we saw pink peppercorns. That was very early on. So we saw pink peppercorns early on. We haven't seen them since then. But... You know, I liked the way she was trying to use different spices rather than go with gingerbread and come up with the sugar cookie but with flavours. I liked that idea.
Yep.
Adrian used ginger, molasses and caraway. Mm-hmm. Now, Dimmy was making the Irish castle out of caraway and black pepper.
Okay, I just had to... Okay, welcome to my ADHD brain. I started singing Caraway, Caraway, Caraway.
She's not a girl band.
And no. She's a one-woman girl band.
She lives in a castle with cats.
She does. And she's from Ireland.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, she does.
She actually does live in a castle with cats.
I mean, good on her. She's living the dream.
And you're living the dream, folks. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
We've got cats. Got cats. I could make a turret.
Oh, dear.
The Irish castle again. Look, that's very Bewitched. That was again Bewitched could have done a whole show from the Irish castle.
Yeah,
That would have worked.
I'm sure they would have.
I mean, they did the big reunion show in the UK. You know, that one where all those bands that fought, they get them back together and they then go, "Why did you fight?" And the girls go, "We're over it now." And then they ask all of them and they get angry at each other.
Yeah,
but then it's just so they can bring it back together for the final show.
Digging up the fucking
It was because one of the two sisters in Bewitched was made the lead singer by the record company, and everyone else didn't like it. And she didn't like it either, but they did it. And then it was like, oh, that was their problem, and they were feuding over this, apparently, including the sisters, who see each other all the time. Pretended they'd had this long-running feud they never saw. Anyway.
Yeah, but what else are you going to put in the People's magazines? Like, what else are the insiders and fellow diners talking
They
about?
abandoned denim. Imagine the scandal if they'd abandoned denim. Speaking of scandal, Scandalous.
Oh my
Why
God.
does nobody talk about Scandalous? Mainly because they can't remember the names of the members.
No. What was the one Sophie... Oh, Bardo.
Bardo.
A bit of Bardo.
Which was a terrible name and
Yeah.
a terrible concept overall. I remember the Pop-Tarts, personally. The Pop-Tarts were the ones who were the five that were kicked out before that, who went over to Good News Week.
Oh my God.
And they did a whole thing with the Pop-Tarts on Channel 10, which was, yeah.
I mean, I get the pun, but one, wouldn't you be sued by Pop-Tarts? And two, are we really slut-shaming?
I don't think they were slut-shaming on it. I think they were embracing. But, yeah, there's a whole era, for people, young people out there, there was a whole era of
Australia
TV shows just making girl bands.
Yeah.
They weren't even supposed to be girl bands, but they did a couple of mixed ones. They were terrible.
That was Scandalous. Scandalous was the mixed one.
Yeah, and they had one song which was, I believe, called "Me, Myself, and I."
Oh God!
Yes, I can sing it. Don't ask why.
Please don't.
I was going to say they'd charge me a royalty, but they'd have to all like
talk to each other.
They'd have to have they'd have to admit they were in Scandalous.
Hold on, wasn't one of the chicks from Scandalous married to or dating Kyle?
Probably. Yes. Kyle Sandilands.
The Sandilands.
Yes.
Oh,
sorry,
God.
Melbourne. Anyway.
Oh God, why did my brain have to remember that?
All right. Meanwhile, the phrase of last week's episode was Molly, where she was talking about her spiced honey biscuit, and she's like, "You're going to get honey," and then, boom, there's some paprika.
Yeah.
Like, you and Molly have that sort of.
We have
boom.
a boom. Yeah.
You both do a lot of that.
Love it.
Elliot was making a piano and dance
I'm
floor.
down with the chillins.
You are.
Yeah.
Elliot was making a piano and dance floor with cardamom and ginger snap with a sugar cookie piano.
I don't have no mid game.
You don't.
I'm all Riz.
You are all the Riz.
Yeah.
You are the Riz king of this household.
I am.
So, I don't know. No cap. Anyway, Adrian made a Melbourne tram out of pepperkake, gingerbread, and then the conversation from Darren became, was it a C class or a W class tram? Now, being this was filmed in Sydney, I can tell you that it's a light rail that doesn't quite go far enough.
Yeah.
Is a really cool idea, but it doesn't really go far enough.
No.
We're going to take them all away and pretend we never had them. And then we're going to bring that back again, but we're only going to run it to certain suburbs.
Yeah.
And it's not going to really extend to a way that everybody can use it.
And then it won't go to Bondi, making people happy, for the nostalgia of the Bondi tram days.
Because the people of Bondi will protest that nobody should come to their beach, even though everybody goes to their beach. And 90% of the people who are in Bondi aren't from Bondi.
Yeah.
But, nobody's allowed to come.
Yeah.
Anyway, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Michael Caton and Kate Sobrano and Brian Brown, who all once stood up at a protest rally and said, "No, we don't want public transport links to Bondi because why would we want people here?" What? Anyway, moving on. Back to the safety pin bunting, which happened again. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. Now, Lorena did a sugar cookie where she admitted that she was over baking them on purpose for structural integrity. Smart
Understandable.
move. Now, Molly was making the Honeybee Hotel. Mm-hmm. Not a girl band as such,
Oh, so
but
close.
Billy Piper.
Oh, Billy Piper, yeah. Like sugar to the bee.
Honey to the bee, that's
Honey
you
to the
for
bee,
me.
that's you for me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Honeycomb-shaped windows, and she was adding spice to the icing to try to kick it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, Lorena was doing the diary, was doing the tree house, with the cinnamon chocolate outside and pink peppercorns inside.
It looks very cute when it came out.
Then they decided to do this weird dance break, but with no music. Because Elliot's got a dance floor. Let's all dance with no music.
It's an actual silent disco.
It was a very genuine silent disco. Possibly the most embarrassing disco since Cafe Disco.
Oh, no, Cafe Disco is awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Elliot was trying to tune the biscuit piano. Sure. And Molly was amazed that the B Hotel fit together because she's like, it's never fit before.
I mean, something I'm surprised at is that Elliot was able to transport his own piano to the front, because usually you have to pay someone like thousands of dollars to do that for you.
You got moving costs, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Adrian, they said it could have had more Lorena. They said it looked like it was from a fairy tale. The light was good. Nat thought that the fairies were having a race. The sugar cookie was short and crumbly.
A rave.
A rave, not a race. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm tired.
The fairies have just dropped some toadstools.
They were having a race around the rave. Sugar cookie was short and crumbly. They said that she was brave to use that. And Darren went, I would have used something stronger. Like gingerbread. Anyway. Rachel liked the pink peppercorns, but she couldn't taste the grapefruit and she wanted zest, not juice. We all want zest for life. Adrian, they said it could have had more colour. It looked like a tram. That's good. Biscuit had good bite and flavour. Darren wanted more spice.
I was aiming for a tram, but this 747 just suddenly appeared.
Yarge is a fine barn, but 'tis no pool, English. They said the molasses had good flavour though, so that's a spice, Darren. Just saying. Dimmy, they said had a good light, majestic. The caraway flavour was great. The pepper gave good warmth. Rachel loved the thickness of the biscuit. Very well executed. Arvin, they said it looked spectacular. The dome looked good. The biscuit gave a good snap, but it was a bit thick. The heat, however, was good. Molly, Rachel thought it was adorable. Darren wanted more colour and better finesse. The biscuit had a great snap and with good consistency. Delicious with the honey flavour. They wanted a bit more spice. Elliot's, great detail. Light gave sense of movement. 2 biscuits were used. The wattle seed gave a great hit. Well baked, and the cardamom snap full of flavour. Now, they talked about the fact that Arvin had an amazing week, which, not against Arvin, but he had a good showstopper.
Yeah.
So,
it's fine. I'm finding it very difficult to reconcile when we don't have, and we'll see it more when we go into the next step. But yeah,
they then also went, oh yeah, Lorena was really good, and so was Elliot. But Arvin's was incredible. Again, it's not anti-Arvin, it's not anti-Baker. It's just trying to create a narrative of they had a great week because they did one good bake out of 3.
Yeah.
When there are other people who have been... Like, Dimmy was so
great.
consistent. And Elliot was really good this week too. Elliot deserved his Star Baker call this week.
Yeah, absolutely. It was 100% his week.
Yeah. Adrian and Molly were on the chopping block. Adrian for the execution in the showstopper and Molly for the flavour in the showstopper. And they decided that it was Molly's time to go home.
Yeah.
Time to go back to the farm. The last shot was the camera just blinking out as Darren ran at the camera and went, "No, Molly!" No. Look, we had to get our last country practice reference in. So, with that, it's time to move on to episode number 2.
Yeah.
Molto bene, ciao, molto bene.
Oh, yes. I was going to say Italian boogaloo.
Mafia. Now, what we were worried about with Italian Week started at the very beginning.
Oh, there was a Vespa.
So, for those of us who listened to our much fabled MasterChef years, the Vespa was the equivalency of Marcher on the drinking game card.
Mm-hmm. But the Vespa did assure people that was going to be a good episode. If you saw a Vespa,
the red Vespa parked out the front of MasterChef, you knew it was a good episode.
Yeah. No Vespa sighting.
No Vespa was a bad episde.
Worrying times.
It always worked. Mm-hmm. We saw a Vespa. So should have been
great.
We'll come back to that. But the Vespa, I'm just it's the gradual MasterChefing here.
Yeah. Maybe I was a bit worried.
Darren's doing Dessert Masters. I shouldn't mention that because they'll get really angry if I mention that Darren's on Dessert Masters right now. Darren's on Dessert Masters right now, everybody.
Just bring out a cloche.
Just a cloche, yeah. Just a cloche. Someone yelling, good crock and bush. Anyway. I know they didn't like the crock. No, we'll come back to that later. Pizza. Two signature pizzas. Now, two pizzas, everything from scratch. No, bullshit. You had packets of mozzarella.
Yep.
I didn't see anybody butcher a pig.
No, there was no. Okay, I'm just popping outside to.
No one shaved their prosciutto.
Just no one planting some tomato seeds.
No one made their sausages. Like everything from scratch, followed by a very clear picture of the sponsor's product mozzarella bag. Like I get what you sort of mean.
Yeah.
But don't say make everything from scratch. And then, like at one point, they turned around to somebody and went, "Are you making your sauce?" Yes, you told them they had to. What the fuck do you think they're doing?
Yeah. Look, this was another one of those kind of signatures that I think if you have it so that you're like, the main focus is, does your base carry your toppings?
Yep. And remember, we've got as far back as when Matt and Maggie did Burger Week.
Yep.
And our complaint about Burger Week was it was not about the burger bun.
No, they just spoke about the fillings, and it's like,
yeah, what? It's not. What are we doing?
Yeah. Like the whole thing should be, these bakes are important because they're carriers of different foods. But how well does it carry? How well does it complement? And maybe throw something in like you needed a flavored
two different bases,
like two different kinds of bases, a flavor through the base, something of that nature.
Yep.
To really show that that's what the challenge was about. And then you could have added to it by going, okay, I know signatures are about flavor, so you have to make your own sauce, like base. That could be like a Blanco sauce or a tomato sauce, doesn't matter. But then keep the toppings simple, like some mozzarella and basil.
Yep.
So that the focus is on.
Well, they could have had them make a margarita pizza. Use the sponsor's product if you want to use the sponsor's mozzarella, and then make it about the base.
Mm-hmm. Or in this case, now that the toppings are all on, how well does your base hold your toppings?
Exactly.
And opening it up to, it doesn't like your. Like I know they've got the wood-fired ovens out there, but you could have done a Chicago, like a deep dish. Yep. You could have done different styles of pizza base and justify it with the type of topping that you've chosen.
Yeah, I thought it was, again, it became more about the toppings and the base, but also when they got to the judging of it, some of the bases were far soggier than others, and there wasn't really a lot made of it. The only one they made of anything was Dimmy, but there were 2 or 3 where the base was quite clearly soggy.
Like Arvin's, and I'm going to point it out now. Arvin's, they were two-handing that, and in that way, we all know, because we've all had soggy pizza, of how you're holding it so it doesn't drop and spill everything everywhere.
Yep.
I was really impressed with Elliot going, I know pineapple can make this watery, so I'm using fresh pineapple and I'm frying it off.
That was really smart, and that was very clever. Now poor Adrian opened up by saying, "This is my week."
Adrian,
and continued.
You are from a fucking country whose ancient people basically, told tales of hubris and what the fuck happened if you went against the gods. Like, dude.
Careful, Icarus.
And he's like, no, fuck you that. Well, Icarus was Greek.
Yes, I know.
But fuck that. I'm just gonna shoot straight for the center of the sun.
I know that Icarus was Greek, but unfortunately, it works with the reference.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
So Dimmy was making pear, prosciutto, and gorgonzola. Mm-hmm. That was where I wrote down, I didn't see her shaving the prosciutto. Arvin was making the Longasia sausage with a cherry cola glaze. Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's pretty cool. I've had, several, like, there's a nice Moroccan pizza I've had once. It had a nice, glaze on top. It's cool.
Lorena was going with a Canadian bacon pizza, pineapple, maple bacon, jalapeno, with a cream cheese and onion sort of on
bacon
top.
Pizza, making bacon pizza.
Anyway, that was really cool. I love that. And I
need a little Quaker parrot.
I was also glad that there wasn't this long debate over is pineapple a pizza topping, because yes, it is, and we don't need to go into it. It just is. Elliot basically made a ham and pineapple. Now, he made his own pizza box. which I wasn't aware was part of the challenge.
He took it seriously. He went out. He actually grew the pig. He slaughtered it. They didn't show that because of animal cruelty. He grew the pineapple, harvested it himself. He was the only one, and went out and made his own pizza boxes.
Now, I promise again, this is not against anyone. I'm not having a go at Elliot. But I do want to say that maybe when it came to the judging, Elliot could have used the fact that he made that pizza box as an idea for a rough size guide, because his pizza was really bloody tiny. And I'm like, there's nothing worse for me than when you order a pizza and it comes in a huge box and you open it and it's only in one corner. And you're like, what's the rest of the box doing? So it's
like Elliot, when you get a packet of chips and 90% of it's...
Elliot, make your pizza the size of the box.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just a small thing. Adrian was going with zucchini flour, burrata, and lemon ricotta, which was an interesting idea. The burrata in particular, he was doing the burrata separately and then putting it on so it just started melting, which was smart because, again, those things are very risky for making a very soggy pizza.
Yeah. But he didn't do that. We heard the crunch as they...
And then they used the Rockbox pizza ovens, and I'm assuming, I didn't see on the end credits, I'm assuming that was a sponsor.
Yeah.
Because they're worth like $800 each. What I thought was really interesting though is, you've got the Rockbox pizza ovens outside. If you're doing something where you're doing something a little bit different, they made no deal of it at all. No. The next thing you know, they cut to them and they're at the pizza ovens. Then they walk back inside, except for Lorena, who stood at her pizza oven doing a run while she was waiting for it. But that was cool. But they basically went, oh yeah, they're using some pizza ovens outside. Oh look, they're back inside now. All good.
Yeah.
Make more of a deal out of it. You're doing something different.
I love the outdoor cooking. It's bringing me closer to my campfire challenge, my campfire cake challenge.
Your campfire challenge is a good idea. The other one, of course, we talked about, it was the idea of the low and slow challenge.
Yeah.
Where you have to do something with MasterChef. We talked about this, but also for Bakeoff you could do it. That idea of, with MasterChef, we wanted to see a 24-hour low and slow, put it on, come back to it in 24 hours. That's, would be great. The judging. Adrian, Darren and Rachel liked the look. Great ingredients, great combination, good crust. Rachel just wanted a little bit more salt. Arvin, they liked the base. Rachel liked the glaze, and they liked the toppings.
They liked the base, but okay.
I know.
This is the thing. The toppings weren't held by the base.
No. Dimmy, they said the flavour was really good. The lemon zest was good. Great crust, but the base middle was a bit wet because it was overloaded with things, so she needed to take a few things off it.
Yeah.
Elliot, small, not round. Rachel liked the pineapple and thought that was clever, which we talked about. They said the sauce was aromatic, but the base really wasn't uniform, and so as a result, it cooked unevenly. Lorena, not round but looked crispy. Rachel liked the cream cheese and the onion, and the base actually cooked incredibly well. The technical.
Yes.
This is a Rachel Koo one, sorry. Gooey Heart, Soft Flush, which again is another independent album.
Soft Blush, isn't it?
Yeah, Soft Blush, yes.
Yeah. Soft Flush.
Soft Flush.
She's like, not a full flush.
Soft Flush.
We got to conserve some peach.
Again, tired.
That's all right, darling.
So, Rachel, pesca con crema. Peaches and cream. 2 hours and 15 minutes. Again, really cool technical.
I loved this technical. I think it was very well thought out. So
Adrian, once again, looks at the camera and goes, I've made this over 10 times. I eat it all the time. I'm quietly confident. Adrian!
I feel like Rocky just getting beat every time. Like his like guardian angel is just...
Now, I didn't...
Just going, I'm trying to keep you safe, man. But...
I didn't write down point by point what all of the parts of the technical were. All I wrote down was, this is super cool. Because you had the outside shell, you had to make the peach stone. There was a biscuit in there, but the peach stone was marzipan.
The pastry cream.
Yep, the pastry cream. There was a bit of cocoa on the outside of it too. Yep. It was really... And then it was about colouring, and knowing what colour a peach is would help. Now, Adrian used a little bit of extra pectin to make sure that his jam set properly. Now, I did point out that when they were assembling the peach stones, it looked very Cadbury's cream egg.
Look, it could have been,
And I'm here for the idea of like a Cadbury's cream egg challenge.
Oh yeah, but with different.
Sorry, it wouldn't be Cadbury's cream egg. It would be chocolate egg filled with
Marshmallow.
Yeah. A marshmallow-filled chocolate egg. Mm-hmm. Chocolate confection. Because, of course, you
But
can't...
where's your bake? What are you going to bake? Are you going to put that... Is it going to be like a Scotch egg... But you make that, and
put
then
it in
there's
a
cake,
shoe.
and then there's cake on the outside, and then you deep fry the cake. Oh my god!
I've talked about challenges
with a biscuit crumb around the end outside.
That would be great. A Scotch egg, but done like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked a bunch about all those sort of random challenges. I want to see them have to remake stable shop classics, like for example the old-fashioned Sara Lee cake pie. Just because I want someone to have to show the old commercial of the cowboy going, "There's cake in this pie." But I think they should be a week where you just have to make a version of something that is bought in the shops. A brand name.
We've done that. They've done an iced Vovo before.
No, but I mean, like, it should be all three challenges.
Okay.
Replicate commercial classics. Get sued. Go on.
Not
do
quite.
it.
Not quite. It's the
not quite week.
Yeah. Adult shops everywhere.
Oh god.
And all you dirty bastards out there who know what I'm talking about.
Anyway.
Are my kind of people. Well done.
Anyway.
You're welcome to the podcast.
Speaking of that, this is where Nat started making all the references about cheeks and smooth cheeks and then talking about jam between the cheeks.
And cream.
And cream and jam. And she was like, then I'm talking about peaches. How dare you? And then she about it was a hot with Lorena. She was like, it's a hot day. It's tough when they get jam between the cheeks. And again, it was a really good challenge, but that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Not much to see. So Lorena looked smooth, sun blush colour, jam was generous, but it was coming out slightly. Hasn't been sealed properly. The flavour was there. The marzipan was good and a good blush. Mm-hmm. Elliot, they said there was an issue with forming the peaches. That needed more colour. The elements were there. It needed more pastry cream. Was very well soaked and had a good flavour. Mm-hmm. The appearance was a problem, but the flavour was quite good. Dimmy. It looked amazing. The colour was good. The stone looked fantastic. Jam in the stone was well contained. The biscuit was light and airy.
Yep.
Adrian, deep colour, nice and round. It looked ripe. Then Darren pointed at the top of it and went, there's a small hairline crack. And they used their biggest zoom on the camera. And you could barely see a mark. There was nothing coming out of it.
Did he need to grate it? Like, did he need to smooth out his cheeks? Like,
possibly.
Is that... They don't like a non-exfoliated peach cheek?
But they then said it looked like the inside of a peach, and it had a great job at the indent, well sealed, and it was really peachy. Arvin's, they said, good shape, but jam had seeped out. The colour was also way too bright.
Yes.
They said the stone definition wasn't as good as the others. It was well soaked in the syrup, but it needed to be more formed and more round. So from last to first, it was Elliot, Arvin, Lorena, Adrian, and then Dimmy wins the technical.
Yep.
And deserved. Dimmy was...
Oh, it's beautiful. At this point, I thought... Well, the signatures were all kind of, close, but not quite. And I thought if Arvin's signature is getting away with it, then Dimmy's can get away with it.
I thought we were
I thought she was pretty strong.
I thought we were looking at a show. I thought we were looking at a Dimmy star baker, and it was either going to be Elliot or Arvin going home because they were at the back of the technical, and both of them had some problems in the signature.
Yeah.
No, turns out. So the showstopper.
Yes.
Tiramisu's centerpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Because, sure. Now,
because tiramisu is delicious.
No, but here's my issue. You needed a baked element.
Yeah.
A cream element, a coffee element, and a chocolate element. Mm-hmm. And it needed to be colourful.
Okay.
My issue is, at no point there are they talking about anything texture. It needed a baked, a cream, a coffee, and a chocolate, and colour.
Yeah, see, I think I would have made it a little bit more stringent and said, okay, it needs the flavour profile of the tiramisu.
Yep.
But how you bring that flavour profile through is up to you, and you need to make it a centrepiece.
If you want the texture thing to be a thing, that needs to be in the brief. That needs to be, they say, it should contain something similar to the texture of a tiramisu.
Yeah.
That needs to be there.
Yeah.
Because they said you can do it however you wanted, you just needed the 4 elements plus colour. Then when they got to the judging, they kept going back to it doesn't have the texture of a tiramisu. You didn't want them to make a tiramisu. You wanted them to make something which was a centrepiece that tasted like a tiramisu.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted. So it's make the clear distinction. The the 4.5 hours. I'm not going to worry about the talking corner because we're sweetness and fucking light. Now, Adrian said that he wouldn't mess with the flavours, but he will mess with the form. So he's going with choux and eclairs.
Which I thought was fine because the choux replicates the ladyfingers.
It's a baked element.
Yeah,
and Darren turned around to him and said, there ain't no choux in a tiramisu. No, there's not, but you didn't tell him he had to make a tiramisu. You told him to use elements.
Yeah.
It just needed to be baked. Dimmy made a 3-tiered meringue centerpiece with ladyfingers.
Oh, I think hers was really wonderful.
Cool. Arvin, Irish cream mousse and chocolate spheres. The other thing I will say is that this was another episode where when they cut to the bakes, they didn't really go through what was in them a lot. There was very brief information. So Lorena was making biscotti, which is a great call.
Yeah.
Choux pastry, again, but there was no comment on her choux pastry wreath. There was a comment on Adrian. There wasn't a comment on Lorena. By the way, I think they were both right to do choux. I'm defending both of them.
You could have baked anything.
Yep.
You could have baked...
Well, Elliot baked brownies.
Exactly. Like, it just said you needed a baked element.
Yeah, last time I checked, there's no brownie in a tiramisu.
You could have baked a fucking pavlova because it's baked.
Exactly. Chocolate mocha cake, then blackberry mousse. Elliot, white chocolate rainbow shards, a brownie base with all of the elements combined as part of that.
Yep.
Now, this is where Elliot's centerpiece wasn't the height of a centerpiece.
Yeah.
He worked out that it wasn't going to stack.
Yeah.
So he laid them flat and just covered them in the coloured petals. And it seemed like the focus seemed to be, and this is not an anti-Elliot thing. It's more they understand what the hell they're being judged on at the minute.
Yeah.
Is Elliot sort of, I think, thought to himself, well, they just want something that looks colourful.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And that's not an anti. That's a very... Elliot was smart to look at it and go, well, if I do that, they're probably going to judge it well.
Yeah. I think what... You know, the showstopper is supposed to be about form.
Yes.
Like function and form. And it's the artistic expression while also produce... Like as we've always said, what differentiates Bakeoff from something like Cake Boss is that Bakeoff does also focus on flavour. Like, you can have something that looks beautiful, but if it's just fucking Rice Krispie squares and vanilla sponge in the middle, it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
So I think that what he was going for is possibly, bang on.
Yeah.
But again, the execution, if you're going to put something like that together, then you have to think about, how is this going to stack? So what am I going to do so that, whatever's on top of the brownie and in between the brownie layers will hold. Yeah.
I love that Adrian talked about the fact that Mission Brown was a popular colour in the 70s to try to, brown's a colour. It's a colourful.
But if you really wanted to go 70s, Adrian, you would have had some orange and lime.
Like, if you put orange on it, so here's the thing, he had the white shard things at the base.
Yeah.
If he'd sprayed them orange.
Oh my God.
So
killer.
So here's
and also filled the shoe.
So that's the thing. Right, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
With the judging, sort of going to race through it a little bit.
Yeah.
Dimmy's looked great. Cross-section was fantastic. Adrian's. Now...
Lorena's looked gorgeous, particularly that cross-section.
That looked incredible. Elliot, the petals looked really good. The flavours were there, but it wasn't high enough, but they said it was a decent representation.
Yeah.
Now, that leaves two. And I'm going to talk about Adrian first. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm going to talk about Arvin first.
Yeah.
All right. It looked like a version of the Mall's balls in Rundle Mall in South Australia.
Festive balls. Festive mall. It's what you could expect around Christmas.
Or it looked like a re-representation of Sputnik. We've done Sputnik before, but it looked like another variation on that.
Look, it was a showstopper.
It was high.
And it looked good. I wouldn't have chosen the silver. I think I would have gone for something a little bit more natural and then threw the red over it.
And I have no doubt that it tasted fine.
Yeah.
I have zero doubt that it tasted fine. Darren loves the flavours. That was cool.
But when you compare Arvin's run to Dimmy's run this episode,
yep,
Dimmy should have got it because her cake was just as
beautiful.
I
think there were two star bakers in this episode. One of them was Dimmy and the other was Lorena. And neither of them got it. We'll come back though. Adrian. Now, I didn't actually mind the lamp. I thought it was fine. I didn't mind the shoe. The fact that it didn't fill all the shoe buns, probably a problem.
Yeah, look, and I understand when they're like, oh, the cake tin underneath might not have been the best thing, but I didn't really notice it. I think I would have been disappointed if I picked up a shoe bun, it wasn't filled. And I think just to like if you got a spray can of orange and added stripes of that to it, would have made it pop.
So I think that I will say straight up, I don't think it should have been Adrian. I do possibly think Elliot, possibly, but I understand at least that there was something they could use there with Adrian to go, well, you didn't fill all your shoe buns, so you can go home. But that also means what sort of threw me for a loop is Arvin getting Star Baker.
Yeah.
And again, not against Arvin.
No, what
Lovely.
he produced
was good. We're back to a point where the showstopper is the only thing they are vaguely considering anymore. And that is not what this show is. And I'm just... No. I feel bad for everybody involved, like including Arvin, because he's going to have people... There will be people online who will go, but he did a showstopper, but what about the rest of the bakes? And you don't deserve to have like a week where you win and feeling like someone's saying that about you. Like, no one deserves that.
No.
And, again, I have no doubt that he did a really good job with that and it tasted amazing.
Because we've seen judging in the past where someone's had, an average technical, or shit technical, and a pretty blur signature, but they've saved themselves by producing something that...
Yeah, he 100% saved himself.
Yeah, 100%. It was a saving bake, and it shows that he's got really good skill there. However, when we're looking at consistency, and if we want to actually make the other two challenges matter, then we have to look at someone... We have to look at the consistent baker, not just the one that is pulling something out to save themselves.
I think Adrian definitely put himself in the conversation by not filling all the shoe buns. That's 100% fair.
But we've seen other people in the past have strong signature, strong technical, or like average.
Yep.
Maybe not have pulled something out as good in the showstopper,
but they had enough.
The
other thing that I mentioned before,
we are also at the pointy end of things.
Well, the other thing I will mention again, I mentioned it at the start of this challenge, is Adrian, and I think Lorena had the same comment come back about the texture of tiramisu. The challenge didn't involve that.
Texture, no. It was
it was form.
Yeah.
It wasn't texture.
No.
So it's just, again, it's a consistency argument. But look, end of the day, Adrian goes home, unfortunately. Arvin gets Star Baker, and we move on, and we're in the semi-final.
Yeah.
So that's kind of going to do it for this week. We should be back to on time to do the semi-final.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate all of you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your comments. We're always here for feedback. But we'll be back, obviously, next week. Until then, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
La 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 la.